this opportunity to share with you. And I believe that what I'm going to share is something that got put in my heart in the last 4 or few weeks, that I was going through a little bit harder times. And we live in, you probably heard it so many times, in uncertain times, and situation can change so rapidly and so fast. I remember I just took a few days off after a long period of time, and we had some plans with my wife, and one of the plans was to go and see the sea, or Irish Sea or ocean, and I was like, oh, we're just gonna go there. And the moment I started my holiday, first day, the restrictions came, and we couldn't leave. And it's so funny because the last time I took my days off, it was the same. So you never know what to expect, and some of you might feel unfairly treated again, and you maybe think, okay, first time it was fun, I could get some rest, but now it's not funny anymore. It's the same situation all over again. We feel locked down. We feel that our rights, like some of you might even feel like slaves in this situation because you cannot control it. And that's why I have a word for you. And one of the things I spoke with my wife 2 days ago was we were just planning, and we were saying, okay, so when it's over, we'll do this. When it's over, we will do this. And then it came to my mind, what if it's not over so fast as we think or desire it to be over? And what if we need to get used to the situation and seek God in this situation? Because God sees us and He knows where we are. But what if there was a time of plenty to prepare, and now we are in a little bit more difficult time? So my question to you, first question I want to ask you, were you preparing? Were you preparing in a time of plenty? If you were on a mountaintop, were you preparing? Were you using that time wisely and preparing yourself? How to prepare yourself? Just be with God. This is what I'm going to talk about. The first thing, just be with God and have a relationship with Him. Were you preparing in a good time? And if you are not preparing, are you preparing now? You know, it's not that I'm saying like if you were not preparing now, everything is wasted. But now you still have opportunity to prepare. I believe that we live in times when we as Christians, we are the light of the world, and as times they are a little bit darker, we need to be prepared to stand. We need to be prepared to stand because there's hope of the glory in us. It's Jesus, and if glory had hope, that's Jesus in you. You know, Jesus in you. So were you preparing for that time, and are you ready? Are you ready? Because we might go through mountaintops and we might go through valleys and prisons. So what I want to share with you today, and if you could open your Bible right now, I don't want you just to listen and be passive. I want you to open your Bible, have a relationship with Jesus, but not only with Jesus, but also with His Word. And you can go to Genesis 39, 19-23. So we'll start with Genesis 39 and verse 19 to 23. And I'll read now. So Potiphar was furious when he heard his wife's story about how Joseph had treated her. So he took Joseph and threw him into the prison where the king's prisoners were held, and there he remained. But the Lord was with Joseph in the prison and showed him His faithful love. And Lord made Joseph a favorite with the prison warden. Before long, the warden put Joseph in charge of all the other prisoners and over everything that happened in the prison. The warden had no more worries because Joseph took care of everything. The Lord was with him and caused everything he did to succeed. It's a good word, and I'm so excited about it. But first I want to paint a picture. You know, Joseph is in the prison again. If you know the story, Joseph was one of the youngest, then later there's another son, but he's the youngest and he's the most favorite of Jacob. And he's the son of Rachel. Is it Rachel? Yes, he's the son of Rachel. And because he's the youngest and Rachel was the love of Jacob's life, I can see that Jacob looks at him and he's his favorite. And you know, at the beginning when I think about this story, it wasn't Joseph's fault that he was the favorite. It wasn't Joseph's fault that he got the beautiful garment and that he was treated as the favorite one. But I think at least at the beginning of his life, he didn't learn and he didn't have enough wisdom to sometimes keep his mouth shut when he received this huge blessing and huge vision for his life from God. And one of the lessons I take, and I want to encourage you, when you receive a vision for your life, something that you know it will happen, and you know and you are sure it's from God, and you know you're going to be there, you're going to get there, the vision will be fulfilled. You don't have to share it with everyone. You know, Jesus said, don't throw pearls in front of pigs. And sometimes when you share with everyone, when you feel like an eagle and you share with chickens, sometimes they can be against you, and sometimes it can cause envy and jealousy. And I think that was the situation with Joseph and his brothers. They were jealous about him from the beginning straight away, but I think he stirred up this fire a little bit by saying some stuff, by acting in some way, and he landed up in the pit. You know, his story is so tragic. His family, they turned and abandoned him. They were trying to kill him, and then finally he lands up in the pit for the first time. And I am just thinking about this situation. Maybe he was a little bit responsible for what happened for the first time. Maybe he was a little bit responsible with his talking, and I'm not sure, was there pride in his life? Maybe there wasn't. It's just my thinking, but maybe he shouldn't share so much with his fathers and with his brothers. So he landed up in the pit, and his life was totally over when you think about it. His life was turned 180% and not percent, 180 degrees, and now he's in a pit, and now he's abandoned, now he's mistreated, now he's alone, now he cannot see his father anymore, now he's sold as a slave to a different people, different culture, and he's just alone. Think about the misery of the situation. Think of what he could think, and think of how he could process it. I'm alone now, I'm abandoned, and there's no hope. Hopeless situation is, I think I listened to an interview with a person, an artist, and she was saying, it was so tough for me to go through this lockdown period because I felt no hope. When we feel no hope, there's a misery in our heart growing. But what was good about Joseph, he relied on his God. You know, in a situation when there was nothing to count on, he couldn't count on his father, he was abandoned, he had his God. That's why I want to encourage you, you know, like buying a new house, investing in gold, investing in education that can help you, but in the situations that you cannot predict, only the relationship with God and only having a rock, which is Jesus, can help you to go for it. And so I see pain in his life. And I was thinking about pain and how God, and I want you to listen to me and understand me in the right way, how God can use pain in your life. What I'm saying, God is not putting pain on you, but sometimes God can use pain that comes to your life in order to change you. And you either break or you change. And this is what I see in his life. You know, I listened to another interview, and this guy, a successful entrepreneur, businessman. He was just saying that what I now do is I take only guys who are between 18 and 25 and I teach them. And the interviewer asked him, why would you take only 18, 25? He said, because those after, when they pass 25, they never change. They don't change because it's so hard to change when you are, when you have your habits and your way of living. It's so hard for older people to change. So the interviewer asked, so is there hope? And the guy said, yeah, there is hope. Actually, there's a scientific proof, and there's a proof in psychology that people change when there's pain. People change when there's trauma. They can change 180 degrees when something happens. But what I want to encourage you, you don't need to wait for pain to change. You can sometimes ask yourself and spend time with God and ask yourself and do retrospection and ask yourself, what will it cost me if I don't change? This is what I do sometimes. What it will cost me if I don't leave this stuff? What it will cost me if I'm not gonna stop being lazy? What it will cost me if I don't spend more time with my family? What it will cost me if I continue with this bad habit? What it will cost me, and I put myself in pain. Sometimes you can be 40, 50, 60, and sometimes you need to be honest with yourself. And I know that now all the teachings are all about being happy and saying, hey, everything is okay, I'm blessed. But sometimes it's good to stand and stop for a minute and say, maybe the place I'm in is because of my actions. And there is a place to change. And if I don't change, how will it look in 10 years? And put yourself in this place of pain. What will it cost you or your family or your situation if you don't change? What it will cost you if you don't develop relationship with God when the time is still good and there's no wars? What it will cost you if you are not a strong Christian now? And if you don't sow a seed in being a strong Christian and being strong in His might, what it will cost you. So I think pain, though we don't like to talk about pain, and I know it's going to be hard for me a little bit to share because I'm going to touch on pain, but pain can cause good things. God can actually use pain in your life, whatever painful situation you are going through. And if you react in a good way with God, you can become stronger and it can actually change your life. So there's always hope to change, and that's so good. So he's going through this situation when he's in the pit, he's alone, he's a slave, but he has God, and we can see that God sees him. God sees you. I want to encourage you. God sees you in every situation. God sees you. Either you are on a mountaintop or either you are in the valley. He can see you in a nightclub. He can see you in a crack house. He can see you in the library. He can see you in a hotel. He can see you in your bad habit. He can see you. God sees you. And the good thing, He is waiting for you always. He's waiting for you always. So even going through another lockdown, even I don't know what you are facing now, and I know that a lot of people in our society, they face breakdowns and depression and mental problems. You know, He sees you and He's ready for you. So that's my first encouragement. If you want to walk away now and this is what you listen to, take it with you. You know, relationship with God in hard times, He always is there, and He's there like He was with Joseph, and He's there with you. But you know, you need to start. You need to start somewhere. I think I had a conversation 2 days ago with one of my friends, and we were just chatting in the car, and we were talking about relationship with God. He asked me, "Do you think the end time is coming?" It's a good question. Do you think the end time is coming? I'm not sure. Maybe we have 50 years, maybe 500 years, or maybe 5 years. But it seems that everything in our society is actually speeding up, and the world is getting more uncomfortable place to live. And when you think about the fires around the world and what's going on with COVID, we are living in some kind of different or maybe very uncomfortable times, and we are not sure what's going to happen. But my encouragement is, even in those times, even whatever you're facing, there's still God who sees you, and there's still place for relationship with Him. So first time he's in the pit, a little bit because of himself, a little bit because of himself, though I totally agree that he was mistreated, he was abandoned, but maybe you are in a situation, you are a little bit because of what you did, a little bit because of the way you lived. But the second time, when he goes into the prison, I just can't see blaming him. I just can't see anything he did wrong. So maybe you are in this group of people who think, okay, I messed it up and that's why I'm in this situation. But maybe you just feel that I'm treated unfairly, totally unfairly. I don't know what's going on. I was serving God and I'm on a lockdown again, or my situation is not improving. What's going on? Think about this situation, and think about this situation with Joseph. He was actually in charge of Potiphar's house. He was doing everything right. He was learning how to manage, and he was managing so greatly that Potiphar gave him charge. He was a slave, charge of his whole house, and he didn't have to care about nothing because Joseph was used so well. God will test you in the places, and He will prepare you for another thing. But you need to do small things with greatness. If you want to be great, this is what I'm learning. Do small things with greatness. If you want to, we all dream like, oh, I would like to be a worship leader in Hillsong. Do small worship at your home or in a small local church with greatness. I would like to be a millionaire, or treat whatever you have money with greatness. I would like to speak in front of 2,000 people, speak in front of 3 people with greatness. And this is what we see in Joseph's life. There's God in his life, but he's always learning his lesson. He's doing what he's doing with greatness. But then there's a situation, there's a conflict, there's temptation. Temptation, I'm thinking about temptation. There's a temptation from the side of Potiphar's wife, and I'm thinking that we will all face temptation. What's amazing is everyone in the Bible faced temptation, including Jesus. We will face temptation in the place of leadership, in the place of more authority. We'll always face temptation, and how you deal with temptation will actually result in, are you going to go to the next level? Are you going to improve, and go with God farther? If you fail in temptation, there's always God who's waiting for you, and He's waiting for you to receive you and to forgive you. That's very important. But you probably will have to pass the test again. He will always give you the same or similar test to pass, because He wants to see you improving and becoming like Him. And Joseph, he passed the test. Would you agree with me? He passed the test in an amazing way. Potiphar's wife, she was trying to sleep with him, not once, but then we can read that she was asking him every single day, come on, sleep with me. And he resisted the temptation. And one day she grabbed him by his garment and she almost stripped him, and he had to run away. So he ran away from temptation. So we can say he passed the test. And for this he got reward. And the reward was he got into prison. How do you feel when you know it's not your fault this time? You didn't do anything wrong. You are serving your God, and you are in circumstances that you didn't expect. And now you need to start all over again. He's in a situation where he was sold as a slave. He is a slave in an unfamiliar place. He's in a culture he doesn't know. He has no father anymore to talk with and to hug, or to just tell him, hey, Dad, I feel so bad now. He has no brothers to, even if they didn't like each other, to even ask for something. He's alone, but God was with him, and he could see His blessing, and he's climbing this ladder of position, and then he's mistreated. He's in the dungeon again. He's in the prison again. And I want to speak to those of you who feel like I'm mistreated. I don't know what's going on. I didn't do anything wrong. All I wanted to do is just to get back to work. And the work is not there anymore. All I wanted to do, I was serving God, and I wanted my church to grow, and the church is not there anymore. I feel like a slave in this situation. I feel like imprisoned in this situation. I was doing everything right, and my problems with depression or my mental problem, they came back. I don't know what's going on. I feel this fog. I was doing everything right, and my health issues came back to me again, and I feel a prison of these health issues. I'm checking my body every single day because I think something is wrong with me. I'm talking to those who feel, I don't know what's going on. I'm mistreated. The situation is not my fault, and I'm in there. So this is where Joseph is, and I just have 4 very simple points for you, 4 very encouraging, I hope, points for you that will help you to see the situation from a bigger picture, and that will encourage you to go through this time, and that this time is actually not wasted. It's a time of opportunity, you know, and the darkness is bigger, the light shines even larger, and it's you know, brighter. Oh, brighter, that's a good word. So first thing I see in life of Joseph in here in the prison, and I said it already, it's a relationship with God. So he has a relationship with God, and in the text we can see that it's actually repeated 3 times in such a short time. The Lord was with him. The Lord was with him. The Lord was with him and caused everything he did to succeed. Wherever you are, maybe you are in a dungeon of your mind. Maybe you are in a dungeon or in the prison in the situations that you are in. Maybe you are in a prison in finances right now. God is with you. But it's, you know, but God is also waiting for you. So if you are prepared and you maintain this relationship with God, he is with you. If you totally slide back for a few years and now you're just waiting like, where's God in all this? You know, there's always time because he sees you. So I just want you to remember God is with you. You know, hope of the glory, Christ in you. You know, that's amazing. You know, hope of the glory. Glory could have hope. It's Christ in you. God is in you. And if you don't know God, and you don't even feel and have this certainty that God is in you, there's always time. There's always time. Actually, the bad times, the painful times, they bring us to a real prayer. I'm thinking it's not the type of prayer like, God, thank you for this food, or God, thank you for this day. It's a type of prayer when you come on your knees and you're saying, God, what will I do without you? God, what's going on? God, I hated you, but now I need you. God, I didn't believe in you, but I think you are. So, you know, he's always ready. He sees you. So take this one point and remember, God is with you, in you, or waiting for you in every situation you are going through, and he will cause you to succeed. Number 2, what I love about this situation, when we read now Genesis 40, sometime later, Pharaoh's chief cupbearer and chief baker offended their royal master. Pharaoh became angry with these 2 officials, and he put them in the prison where Joseph was, in the place of the captain of the guard. They remained in prison for quite some time, and the captain of the guard assigned them to Joseph, who looked after them. And I want to tell you, number 2, wherever you are, is it at work, or is it you feel like in a dungeon, or you feel like in a prison, open your eyes for other people. You know, there will be people around you who are going through the same thing. And I know that one of these guys who was in the prison, he was mistreated also. He was accused wrongly, and he is in the prison with Joseph. You know, there are prisoners around you. I'm thinking about this. There are prisoners around you, and even when you feel like a prisoner yourself, you need to understand that you have God, and there are people who are prisoners. They feel like prisoners like you, but they don't have an answer. So I want to encourage you, and God was really like, last 4 weeks were pretty tough for me, but he was actually changing me through pain, changing my priorities through pain, and he was opening my eyes, because I need to admit and I need to confess in front of you that last half a year was like, it was probably, I was just excusing myself, but I was just so busy, all this busy stuff. I am so busy, I'm so busy, I'm so busy. And I was just so busy that I didn't see people in need. And I remember when I started my walk with God, and when I continued even in this church, at the beginning I would be a people person who would go and visit people, and then I got into this running an excuse that I just don't have time. My life is so busy, I'm trying to do whatever I can for my family, for church, or for whatever, for business, and it's so easy to get so self-concentrated, and then when we concentrate on ourselves, on our situation, it becomes even a bigger misery. It becomes even a bigger misery. So wherever you are, is it finances problems, or is it maybe a mental problems, maybe some problems with sadness, depression, wherever you are, there are people around you who have no answer, and they are going through the same things. And because you are going through similar things they do, God can open the door, and it's so much easier to connect and to relate to them and with them. He actually put those guys in charge of Joseph. He was in charge of the prisoners there. He was taking care of everything, but he was also serving them. He was assigned to serve them. So wherever you are there to serve people. And I believe that as I started to work in a place, I still work, and God was working on my character for so long. God was assigning people to me. God is assigning people to you, people that I had authority over. And it wasn't only about a position, you managing people. No, there were people I knew that I could reach. Somehow there was this influence. Hey, you have influence over people you work with, you meet for coffee, or your neighbors. You have influence, and God can open, and he assigned them to you. So I want to encourage you, wherever you are, there are people around you who face similar stuff, and there are people around you who have no answer. And number 3, I'm almost there, we are almost finishing. Number 3 is the power of attitude. He's with them in the prison, and I just love Joseph in this situation. If you can turn to verse 6, when Joseph saw them the next morning, he noticed that they both looked upset. And then he's saying to them, "Why do you look so worried today?" He asked them. Is it not funny? They are in prison, he's in the prison, they are mistreated, they don't know what's going to happen, and he's coming to them and, "What? Your face is sad. Why are you looking worried? We are in a prison, man. Why would we not look worried?" And so I see him coming to them in his situation with a smiling face. I don't know why. I don't see it in the text that he was smiling, but I see Joseph smiling there with a totally different attitude, with an attitude where he cares for people, when he has the empathy, when he's smiling. He has this attitude. You can actually control your attitude wherever you are, and I can see that he has this attitude of helping, of encouraging. Why are you sad? I can help you. And I'm not going to go through the story. If you know, and if you have time, you can go through the story. He actually helped them to interpret their dreams, their nightmares. One was a nightmare, one was a good dream, and it all happens how he predicted. He glorifies God in this. He's saying only God can interpret your dreams. And one of the prisoner, he's dying, and another, he's getting back to Pharaoh's house. But it wouldn't happen if he wasn't willing to serve in that time. It wouldn't happen if his attitude was all misery, or poor me, I'm in this dungeon, or I'm mistreated. I understand once, but not twice. I did everything right. Straight away, he's putting himself in a situation. Okay, I'm in prison. and I'm going to do with this priest on my best, with my best with God. And he is actually there to serve people. Number 4, and we can read number 4 in chapter, that's the last point I would like you to take from this lesson or this sharing, is Genesis 41, two full years later. 2 full years later, 2 years later. I just want you to look at this very short few words, 2 years later. You know, he's asking one of the guys, the cupbearer, if you get out, tell Pharaoh about me. You know, you can whisper a word about me that I helped you out. You know, and the cupbearer, he forgets. And it passed, and another 2 years had to pass. So my number 4 for you is endure. Endure or have patience. Endure or have patience. When you are in a situation when it feels like nothing is going on, there are things going on around you you don't know about. And you might be on the brink of a big promotion or going to another level, or however you want to call it, or maybe God will give you the vision you had in your heart and you will see it fulfilled. You might be in this place right now, but I know this one is so hard, but be patient. Be patient, still do what you are doing with that attitude of Joseph, knowing that you have God, being prepared to serve people. Do it with all your might and try to do even small things. And I'm learning, and it's tough even at my work. You know, I hate paperwork, and if you see sometimes my desk is full of paperwork that I don't do, and then I leave it at the end of the week and I'm trying to do it, and I'm learning, like, okay, you need to be perfect and try to, instead of saying I'm just sucking this, I'm not good and I'm never gonna improve on this is my character, I'm just messy. No, you can actually work on your faults and work on your weaker character traits and do it for God, and say I have some good character traits, I'm gonna work on them, but I'm also gonna work on things I don't feel like. I don't feel like talking to people, you might say. I don't feel like preaching. I don't feel like sharing love. I don't feel like inviting someone for dinner. I don't feel like, it's not my character. It doesn't matter. You can work on it and be good with small that God gives you. So that's number 4, endure, be patient. You know, he endured and he was patient. I don't see him you know, being in a self-pity club and crying all the time. I believe that he was serving in the prison more to the prisoners again. And then one day, you can read about it in Genesis 41, a dream was fulfilled. And it's an amazing story that we all love and we all like to read about, and we would all like to relate, that he's put in the place of position and authority we cannot dream about. He's so young, still 30 years old, and he's put over the Egypt, and he's the second guy after the Pharaoh, and he receives a ring on his finger, and that rings represents authority, and he can actually every financial stuff in Egypt, he has authority over it. He has authority over the land, and so he's put in this position. And I know, like, who would not like it? Who would not like to be like Joseph? But when you look at his life, and when you look at life of great people, great Christian, they were saturated with pain. Unfortunately, they had to go through pain, and they had to react to pain in a good way. And also, they were learning with the smaller things. You know, when you think about him managing Egypt, it didn't happen like this. He was learning to manage. He was learning to be a leader. First in the house of, what's his name, Potiphar. And then he was learning how to be great in the prison. And that's my lesson for you today. I hope you get some encouragement. You know, wherever you are, try to be perfect like God is perfect. You know, do your best. And always remember, God sees you. He sees you, he loves you, and there's hope of glory in you, and there are people around you who have no answers that you have. And if you feel like I wasted my last 7 years or 10 years of prosperity, I wasted, and I'm in a situation now that I feel totally unprepared, I want to encourage you, there's always time to prepare, and there's always time to start relationship with God. How do you do it? You do it step after step. You just spend 5 minutes with God per day. You can do a small step, and you can just speak with God as He's your Father. Speak with God as with a normal person that loves you, want to heal you, want to hear you. He's a person, He's God Almighty, but He also understands your pain and your desires and your temptations, and He can help you with this. So that's the encouragement for today. Online church, God bless you guys. God bless you. Let's pray for a second, and we'll finish. So God, I just want to pray for each and every single person here today, and or listening or watching today, and wherever you are, I want to encourage you that God is with you, and God touch those who are in need and they need you right now, and they feel like they don't know what's going on, and maybe they cause some effects that they are in the situations that they are, or maybe they feel like Joseph in the second part, that he is totally mistreated, and they just think, we didn't deserve it, and we are in this situation. God, open our eyes that there are people around us who need help, and who need a few minutes for us to just listen to them, or they need to just have hope. I pray for those who are hopeless. Give them hope today. I pray for those in Ireland, in Portuguese, in United States, in Poland, and other countries, in Africa, everywhere, just to give people hope, give people more hope. This is a hopeless situation for some of us, but you are a God of hope, and you see us in every situation.